Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So today in this video we're gonna create two-dimensional array programs using Python. So in the most easiest way. Okay, so let's begin with the most easiest example. Let me write a list of students' name. Students equals. Okay, so let's say Alex is the first student, and then we have Ahmed, and then we have Paul. Paul. Alright, so these are three students, and let's write the subjects and maths or biology or physics. Okay, so these are list of subjects, and we have the class, or we can say in which grade they are. Grade. So let's say 10th grade or 11th or 12th. Alright, so now I'm gonna write selection. Let's say we want groups of students and their subject and their grade at which they are. So let's try select, or like we can say candidates detail. Candidates detail, that could be valid. Detail is student subjects. Ensure you write the correct variables and grades. Okay, now down below I'm gonna print the specific index that I want to call out. Like for example, if I put the whole thing over here. Oh, sorry. Okay, if you're gonna print and run this program, it prints literally the everything in the list. So this is just like a matrix programming. So now I'm gonna do this in a more clear way. Let's say we put 0 and 1. So now if you're gonna print it out, yeah, it prints Ahmed over here. So how does it does? For example, now if I only put square bracket and 0, it's gonna print the whole list. So that means this 0 represents the candidate's detail, this student. This first index states the student, and then when we put number 1 over here, it then indicates that index in that student's list. Okay, so that's defining the particular string in this array. Okay, so this is Ahmed, so it selected Ahmed over here. Let's do number 2. It selects Paul over here, the last list. Okay, so now we're gonna go in more deep detail. So let's remove this and write students record. Like for example, if we want to we can now do this two-dimensional array in a more practical way. Like for example, you're gonna given another question which it says like I want to store students name and ID and their score. So that would be the best practical that we can use this 2D array program. So let's say student record, student and R is for record, and then like with let's say Alex, and then we can write its last name as like for example we can say Ahmed, and Mohammed, and its score. First we're gonna write its ID, and then lastly we write its score, and then we write let's say save Khalid, the first name and the last name Khalid, and then we're gonna write its ID over here, and then its score, it's 30. Okay, and then close the bracket. What else? We're gonna put this thing down over here, and after that another comma, and then let's say Gene, no, let's say okay, Ibrahim Khan, and let's write its roll number, let's say 1103, and then its score 25. Okay, we have the lists of students' name, their first name, last name, and their ID and their score. So what we want to do here is we want to create a student ID, like for example, like we written here Ahmed, and this last name and their roll number over here and their score. So what we want, how our ID should be is, we want the first letters, we want the last name's first letter and the first letter of the first name to be swapped, like M A, we swap their places and we pick the first letter in their names, and then we combine their ID, and this is how our ID should look like, the ID of each student. Okay, so how are we gonna create? First we know for each of them this is 0, 1, 2, 3, and then we want the first part, first letter of every name, so we're gonna write index like this. So that's how we're gonna do it. Okay, so let's now do it, and now put it the bracket. Now over here I'm gonna write let's say gonna create students ID over here. Okay, so for, let's say for select, for every selection, for every selection in students record. Okay, so we want the new ID to be stored. Okay, so I'm gonna write ID equal selection. Ensure you write the variables with correct spelling or else it will give the logic error. 1 and then 0, because we want the last name over here to be picked up by their first letter and then combine it with the first letter of the first name. Okay, so and then plus selection of 0 and 0, and plus, and then we're gonna define it as string since we want to store the ID. So ensure you first have to convert them to the string, and then selection over here, and then 2. And now if we print ID, now it should print the ID of every list. Okay, now we have some problem over here. It just print for this one over here, the third list. So what we want over here is to improve our program over here. So till this point we have got correct program. It just swaps the name and the first letter in their names. Okay, so we're gonna improve this program furthermore. So let's do this. So now I'm gonna print it over here, their ID, and then let's say S for selection 0. Now let's print it out. Yeah, now it has given our correct program. The first name with their ID, and then second name also with their ID. So it creates the ID of every student. Okay, so this part we have done the correctly. Okay, so this is the ID, we have created it to generate the ID of every student. Okay, now for example, now I want to check which student has the highest score in this class. So for that I'm gonna initialize here highest slash high score equals 0, and then over here we have the top student over here, and then we're gonna just write empty code. Okay, so down below we're gonna write just below here, if the student that has been selected is 3, and then third part we have here is our score. This part is our score, this one is just an ID, or we can say roll number. Okay, so we want the score to be compared so that we can select the top listed student, and then it should be greater than the highest score as expected. Okay, so put the colon, and then we have highest score equal the selection 3. So it means over here that if any of the student who scored the highest in the class, that high score will store that student's name into selection 3. So the 3 means is checking which student has the highest score. If that student has the highest score in all the classes, it will store that student's name into the variable. Okay, so we want that student to be printed out. So we have done this. Okay, so top student equal selection 0. We want that name plus, and this part selection, then we have 1. Okay, so now we're gonna print the top student, comma, and then we put quotes, achieved highest score of, and then we put comma, highest score. Okay, now let's run this program. Alright, now that's the correct program. Save Khalid achieved highest score of 30. So that's what we wanted this program to give the output in this way. So it created the ID of every student, and then it calls out the name of student who has scored the highest in the class. Alright, so this is a practical example of where and how we can use this 2D array program in a questions. Okay, so this is Brokram. Thank you guys for watching my video, and don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to my channel. Thank you guys. Bye.